Good morning, everybody. I am coming on quick to give a brief introduction. I'm just getting ready to head to work. This video is an update video. There's no cooking other than I'm making up some starter for a couple of my cousins that want to start sourdough. And yeah, I'm just going to give a brief update on where I'm at, what has been happening, and just to catch up a bit because I've kind of missed you. Let's chat. Just in the kitchen today doing a quick mix-up of some starter for a couple of my cousins that both want to get into making sourdough bread, and I've raved about this dry starter, not dehydrated, dry starter. And so I've offered to start them off with a container of starter each. So I am going to get that ready, and while I do, I thought we'd do kind of an update. It's been a while. Today is April the 7th, and I had to ask my better half there. April the 7th, and in this past week, we went from spring to winter and back to spring again. So, welcome to Canada, and hopefully that's the end of the snow for the season. So I'm going to start this, and I might as well explain it as I go and while I do an update. So to get this starter started for someone else, I just take about 30 grams. I'm going to weigh it. I always use a scale. Actually, so you really only need about 20. Oops. The thing I love about this starter, and I've said it before, but in case you haven't seen my other videos, you don't feed it every day. The typical traditional starter, you've got to feed it, and you either have to use it to bake or remove and throw out or use for something else some of the starter so that you can feed it every day. And to me, it was just a hassle and a waste. And I had mixed results all the time with the bread. Some loaves turned out great, and some turned out for croutons and breadcrumbs. But this starter, I have had zero issues, and I've actually played with it a bit, so it's kind of flexible, not so much the starter, but the bread. So it's kind of flexible and adaptable, and I really like it. So that's why I'm so happy to be able to pass it on to somebody else that wants to start. Anyway, so for the update. What kind of triggered this update or inspired it is somebody commented on my Rising from the Ashes video, and they were very encouraging and comforting and gracious, and it really touched me that it seemed to have affected them so much, and they in turn were really encouraging me and even told me they were proud of me, somebody I don't even know. So that really blessed me. And I went back and I started to watch the video. And I thought, wow, that was done, I don't know, October, maybe November last year. And I thought, a lot has changed. And so I thought I'd kind of bring you up to date. Just got to grab some water. So I'm just going to go through the ingredients quick because I know I'll forget as I go. I take the 20 to 30 grams of starter. Honestly, I've done it with less. And it still worked great. And I'm adding 100 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. And that's going to start them off with their own starter to go from there. So anyway, the update. Again, because I don't know if you've watched my previous videos, my story is that in August of 2021, my mom passed away. And I'd also just lost my second dad in December of 2020. I call him my second dad, technically my stepdad, but he was just like dad to me. He and my mom had been together 40 years. My first dad died when I was 17. So Paul came into our lives, and he was dad and grandpa and everything to everybody. There was no step, and he used to say that to the nurses and stuff. There is no stepdaughter, it's daughter. Anyway, And my mom was my hero, my biggest fan, and huge, huge figure in my life. She was 94 and, lived a good life. She was healthy for the most part. I mean, she had aches and pains and whatever. But she had all her mental faculties. In fact, the day before she went into the hospital, she was up till like 10:30 that night playing euchre with us. And then she went in the hospital next morning. She wasn't eating and didn't feel well. And long story short, that was on a Saturday. And the following Sunday, a week later, she passed away. When that happened, I don't really understand it because it wasn't like I thought it wasn't a huge shock in the sense that she was 94. We all knew it was coming. But anyway, I don't know what happened. I can't even explain it. But in that moment, it was like the switch went off and something inside me died. And everything went dark. And then from August to the following, anyway, I lost my job because of my refusal to get vaccinated. I'd been there 10 years in healthcare, loved my job, loved the people I worked with, was good at my job, worked all through COVID at the beginning. We were the COVID floor. And while everybody else, all the managers and whatever, stayed at home on Zoom meetings, we showed up. But then 2 years later, suddenly everybody needs a vaccination, and I wasn't about to do that. I had no confidence whatsoever. It was not tested enough. It wasn't proven. And I was not going to put something in my body that I was not comfortable with. I respect everybody's right to make their choice. I knew that it was a risk, but it was a risk taking it and it was a risk not taking it. And I feel like we should be able to choose our own risk. So that was my position. And my mom died in August. In October, I fell and fractured my knee. So then I was off even longer. I'd gone off on stress leave when my mom passed away. And then in December, I fell again and hurt my shoulder. And in February of that next year, 2022, I was cleared medically to go back to work. So I let them know, and they let me know I would have to be vaccinated. And I wasn't going to do that. So I was put on, well, I got a termination letter. Later on, they said I wasn't terminated, but I was on unpaid leave. And so then I grieved their decision to not allow me a religious exemption and all the different things. So because of that grievance, it was another year until March 29, 2023, that we had mediation, we came to a settlement, and then I was officially able to retire, collect my pension. But I went a year and a half with no income once my sick benefits ran out from unemployment. And anyway, so that's where that all came from. So it was a very hard year. And I if you watch the video Rising from the Ashes, it will show a little bit of the progression, but the real change happened in December, January 23, 24. And I can't even explain it either. It's like a switch got flipped again, and suddenly I felt different. It wasn't nearly as dramatic and intense as when the switch went off. It was just more of a ability to feel like I could and needed to move forward and to figure out the steps to do that in a healthy way. I feel like I experienced the grief process completely and utterly. I developed some unhealthy habits, drinking, vaping, swearing, all kinds of things that I never thought would be a part of my life again, whatever. But I was in a very dark place, darkest I've ever been. And then I had quit vaping a year ago, this past February. But when this stirring started to happen, I just felt, okay, I'm kind of ready. I don't know what this is going to look like. I no longer go to church, and I have no intention of going to church. That could change. God's welcome to do whatever. But at this stage, that is not on my radar at all. My focus is reconnecting with Him in an intimate, real, personal way. Him and me, just the way I am, with warts and all. And just to enter into whatever the new normal is going to be for our relationship going forward from here. So that's kind of what has triggered this change. There's been changes. Sorry, I gotta measure this or I'm gonna do it wrong. And it kind of started, at first I thought, okay, I'm not going to do any big grandiose sweeping changes. I'm going to take small baby steps as I feel led and see where it takes me. So one of the first things I felt, I really looked within, not outward. I wasn't asking anybody's opinion. I wasn't falling back on all the things I've been taught over the years. I was looking inward and upward to determine for myself where I needed to start and what these steps would be. So, one of the things I felt, I have this devotional, Jesus Calling, and I love it. And I've had it for years and years, but it's been a long time, and I don't know that I ever really used it consistently. So that's one of the things I felt. I thought, okay, I really want to do that. And if I miss a day or whatever, I'm not going to get all, give up and quit. And that was kind of my MO before. If I couldn't do it perfect, I didn't do it at all. And I end up failing, which is like my F word. So I wasn't going to go that way anymore. I was done with this guilt, condemnation, and beating myself up over dumb stuff. And so I just started. And, it was slow and steady. And one of the first readings that has stuck in my mind and I know really spoke to me. Actually, so before I get to that, I really want to say, God and I set some ground rules, foundational principles really for going forward. One of them was, I am not going to do anything or accept or receive anything that doesn't resonate with me. So I don't care if I was taught, told, whatever, that this is how you have to do. If it isn't resonating with me, if someone's saying, I think you should do this, and it doesn't resonate, whatever it is, even if it's my own brain saying, oh, you need to be doing this or that, if it doesn't resonate inside here, I'm not doing it. And so we kind of established that. Where's some of the other ones? Oh, it was not going to be religious, pious, Christianese praying. And I am not even saying, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not, because I was just as guilty. Like I could even feel it. Like I'd go to pray and all of a sudden there'd be this different tone or this different something. I thought, no, we're not doing that. I'm going to talk to him like I'd sit and talk to Glenn or you or anybody else sitting with me. That's how we're going to do this. This is going to be a natural. We're not going to build a cathedral around this. So that was one. And the other one was, and I know this is going to come out different than I probably mean it, but maybe not. I told him I only care about my family. I know that's terrible. We're supposed to go into all the world and blah, blah, blah. I know all that. I've read and spoke and whatever, heard those scriptures forever. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying for me right now, my world is my family. And that's where it will start from. And that is my priority, is my family. And if I win the whole world and lose my family, I will have failed. And my highest calling is as a mom. And my highest priority is my family. All within, don't say, I know God's supposed to be, that is God. That is God telling me that my family is my priority. What happens from there, I'm open, but that's priority. So that's kind of where I am. And I started reading Jesus Calling. And you just kind of realize some things that you've picked up along the way, or lies that you've believed, or whatever. And we had a few, so besides losing my job and losing my mom, the other huge big thing in my life over that 3 years was we wanted to move back up to Northern Ontario, and we found the perfect house 2 doors down from my daughter and her family, and it felt like home. And I was so excited because nothing else that I saw felt that way. Everything else I'd seen would have required a lot of renovating and more money and whatever. And this I could have just moved into, and it was right 2 doors down from her. My granddaughter could just come down the street in the mornings and after school, and when her parents were working. So I was so excited. And so we came home and we put our house up for sale, and our house didn't sell, but even before then, the other offer that we had made on the house up north got bumped and sold to somebody else. And that destroyed me. I'm only saying that to say that when January rolled around and I started reading Jesus Calling, one of the first things that stood out to me from one of the readings was to develop the habit that no matter what you're going through, what it looks like, what it feels like, to develop the habit of saying, I trust you, Jesus. And I thought, okay, I can do that. And so that resonated with me. So, there's always challenges and things that in my mother's heart I worry about. And it's like, I trust you, Jesus. And then, I don't know, a few days later, the next reading was something about praising and worshiping Him. And I immediately realized there was something in my heart that would not let me sincerely, genuinely do that. And there was a wall. And I didn't really understand what it was, other than the disappointments and stuff that I had felt. I knew those were hard to reconcile, and I wasn't sure what to do with the pain and stuff that those had caused. I didn't know. And so I'm like, I can't do that. There's something here that is prohibiting me from honestly praising you and giving you that praise. And it felt kind of like a grudge or something that I was holding against him, or that was blocking that flow. And so I said, I trust you, Jesus. And he said, if you really trusted me, you would thank me. And immediately I thought about losing my job, losing my mom, and losing that house. Losing my job, I just realized, I don't see the whole big picture. And yes, it was hard. And yes, it was terrible, honestly. Grief-wise, it was a huge loss because of the people I loved there. Reality is, I don't want to be there. It's not a healthy place to work, especially now. And I've been blessed with another job, and I'm making a new family. But that was one of the things. And the other was losing my mom. And yes, that's hard, but honestly, I don't want my mom here right now. I don't want, with all the things that are going on in this world, I miss her terribly. And I will till the day I die. but I don't want her here. And I know she's happy and she's healthy and she's fine. The big one was that house. It looked like it was perfect. It felt like it was perfect. It checked all the boxes, and it didn't work out. And I think I held a grudge. And I said, thank you. Thank you that we lost that house, because you saw something I didn't see. Timing was not right. I ended up getting this new job after that. But even if I couldn't see some of the good coming out of it, I needed to trust and to thank him that for whatever reason, that didn't work out. And as soon as I did that, that wall in my heart just broke. And the way was cleared. And since then, I haven't had that resentment, the distrust, I think, that had taken root in my heart because of that. And so it's not all clear sailing. It's not like there's no issues, but I am in a much better place. And so thankful to be back in the land of the living. There's still lots more going on in my life, in my heart, changes that we're taking one step at a time. And you guys can turn this off I'm not preaching at anybody. I'm just being honest. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, I'm going to go. I have to go deliver this, and just wanted to catch up. I'm okay. I really am better than I have been in 3 years. Have a great day. Try to get more videos on. Not sure what's going to be. I appreciate you all. Thank you.